Hello everybody and welcome back to Learn to Play. Today we're doing another replay analysis. This week is going to be the feature of replay analysis since I will not be able to stream and I have things to do. I have casting to do. It's going to be a good time. I'm actually not going to be casting StarCraft. It's another thing up in San Francisco. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a World of Tanks finals. That being said, let's go ahead and get into this game. We are watching Hero versus Maru back from IEM. I know IEM is happening right now in Katowice, but or it's at least happening this weekend. You know, there's still really good games that we still have to go over that didn't make it to, I guess, like the super big spotlight. And I think a lot of stuff comes into these games that a lot of times the casters aren't able to go into, whether it be it's just too much, they don't understand it, or really they just don't have time, or they, you know, a lot of times actually the casters these days, especially like Todd, knows everything about this game. It's just he can't go into things because it's lost a lot of times on the viewers, and additionally he can't go into it because, well, it's just too in-depth for the average viewer. But right now we can see very greedy openings from these players. Maru, it looks like he's going for the command center first, and over on the other side, Hero has gone for a gateway expand into double assimilators and then getting a delayed cybernetics core. Both these builds are pretty economic focused. You can see that one of the players, most likely it was Maru, kind of knows how Hero likes to play, which is more economic centric. Maru, we have seen him do some cheesy stuff. We have seen him do, you know, stuff all over the place, whereas Hero, I feel like, doesn't cheese nearly as much. So he's putting that into his little calculator in his brain and saying, okay, if I go for a command center first, I'm going to be more than okay to defend against everything. That seems very reasonable. The one thing that's really interesting to me is the fact that Maru has not, in fact, scouted. So a lot of times when you do this, you have to just assume things are not coming. You want to say, like, okay, well, if I defend against everything in this stage because I haven't scouted, then I'm really not going to be ahead. Because right now, let's say there's a 5-minute, 10-second Oracle that's on the way. There's no way Maru's going to be able to defend this efficiently. He can defend this, but he can't defend this efficiently. He won't have enough Marines out in position all over the place. So a lot of times Maru is just going to eliminate that build out of the possible builds that his opponent will do. Now if he matches up against that, it's fine. He just takes the loss. It's a build order loss. But to do that from the Protoss opponent, they need a lot of, I would say, they need a lot of like premeditation for the attack. And also, Maru is saying, well, against my opponent, it's not too likely that he's going to go ahead and do something like that. So I like what Maru is doing, just saying, I'm not going to be all in here. And because of that, even my scouting SEV is going to be putting me ahead of my opponent if they choose to go an economic opening. And look at the income tab. We're at 22 harvesters against 28. That's pretty close. You might say to yourself, well, Protoss still has the advantage. No, mules are 4.5 mining efficient workers per minute. So you just add 9 to that, you can see a slight economic lead. Normally Protoss have a much bigger lead. It's going to be like 20 workers to 30 workers, but that's not going to be the case this time around. Nevertheless, we're going to move on. How do I like the opening so far? I like the double gas on the bottom here. It's a very small little tiny thing that Terrans do here. What it enables you to do, there's a drawback, and there's a good part about it and a bad part about it. So the good part about it is that when a Protoss comes in here, and if he ever tries to see, he'll be able to look at this and say, okay, well, I know you have 2 gas. You might have 4 gas in the back, so there might be some sort of tech play, 2 base all in, something like that. I can't really tell how many gases you have, and that's going to limit my abilities. We talked about this before in one of my other videos, but if you go 2 gas, you can go and expand really quickly, or you can put a lot of barracks down and then throw down your 3rd gas and or your 4th gas and just pump out of 5 barracks and really put the pressure on. And with this, you can't see it. But if I take the gases over here, what ends up happening is, you know, if a 3rd or 4th gas pops out over here, all I have to do is, let's say, get a hallucinated well, if I'm getting a hallucinated Phoenix, I'll be able to see everything. But let's say my mothership core comes in from this side, I'm going to be able to see that, oh, he only has 3 gases, or he has 4 gases, whatever it might be. So this kind of makes it very difficult. And also, if there's an observer that gets in, or let's say any unit that steps up and see these gases, they might mistakenly think that it's 3 or 4 gas, or 4 gas in this case, and be like, oh, okay, my opponent's probably doing something tech-wise. They're not getting their expansion too quick. Meanwhile, Command Center could be in back. Okay, that's the good part. The bad part about this is actually the travel time for the SCVs. So if you look at it this way, we want to be putting our gases here ordinarily because this is already maxed out at 16. Because this isn't maxed out at 16 and it's only at 6, well, I say 16, but it's 15. Still, because this isn't maxed out, all these SCVs will have to be transferring over here. But if we remove 6 SCVs and make them go to gas, we're going to be able to have this just go straight to the command center. So it doesn't make too big of a difference, but this is, a good 10 to 15 seconds in travel time that you're losing every single time you're sending it across. So each of these SCVs, I mean, if you look 10 to 15 seconds, let's just be conservative with this and say 10 seconds. It's going to be 1/6 of 40 minerals, somewhere around like 6 to 7 minerals, something like that. Closer to 7, like 6.6, 6.7, something like that. So we're losing 6 to 7 minerals every single time because we don't have the gases here. Very, very slight, because that only happens with 6 SCVs. So, 6 times, let's say you do lose 7 minerals. That's only 42 minerals, but every single little bit counts. It's just, talking about it. Going over the Protoss build right now, I think it looks very, very greedy, obviously, but he's taking into account that his opponent technically has to defend against a lot of different pressure builds, right? I could be doing a delayed Oracle attack if I'm Protoss. I could be doing, some sort of Blink Stalkers. Everything, because you know that Maru hasn't scouted you yet, you don't have to worry nearly as much. Because, ordinarily Terran's a lot more defensive, especially after going such a defensive, provoked build. Once you go command center first, you have the tone of being defensive immediately because you can be attacked by so many things. So a lot of times Terrans will kind of just turtle up, and heroes making right call. Oh, it's not going to be a double forge. I thought it was double forge, but it's a forge robo. That makes sense as well. Just getting super fast Colossus. Now a 12-minute timing push is capable, where you have a lot of Colossus very early. And at the same time, you can just chill back and sit. And looks like he's going Twilight Council. This makes sense too. I mean, really, he could choose anything, and I feel like it's the right decision. And that's based upon, as long as he's not getting units. I think units are the worst possible thing to go in this position. A lot of times, the lower league players are going to get, they've gone CC first. Let's go ahead and get as many units as possible and go for our timing. But no, in this mid-game stage, anywhere from, I would say, 6 to 10 minutes, you want to be getting as little units as possible, only for defense, and really getting your infrastructure out. That we can get your money units, like your Colossus, your Blink, your High Templars, all this really, really important stuff. And you can see heroes obliging to that. Actually, the sentries are very important too. He's breaking down these rocks because it's a lot easier to defend in a triangle format than it is to defend all the way out here. We can be sniped on the bottom here and, of course, attack from the front and at the same time be harassed over on the left-hand side. How do we like Maru so far? So, I'm looking at this, I see a really huge disconnect in Maru's build. And the reason why I see a disconnect here is because this starport is so late. We're looking at 10-minute medevacs. Normally we're stepping out onto the field around, I would say, 9 minutes to 9 minutes and 30 seconds. And with like a 9:30 standard push, you're able to get Viking counts started at around 10 minutes and 20 seconds, or let's just say 10 minutes. Normally you're able to get Viking started around 10 minutes, so you're starting to count defending against Vikings. Somewhere along the line, Maru is, I don't know what's up with this order. It looks like he got +1 and his upgrades very early, or stim early, and then all of this stuff. Now you get these add-ons to defend against the Twilight Council tech, but the +1 has to go. A lot of times, because you go the double add-ons to defend against the Blink Stalker play, You can't get the +1 or else your starport is going to suffer. And if your starport suffers here, your Viking count is going to be behind. Your medevac count is going to be behind. Activating these units is going to be behind. Ordinarily, you have to defend against Blink Stalkers. You know, I would say that comes up like a good 50% of the time in all games. I'm just rough balling it. And you need those medevacs. If you step out into the field and they just keep blinking back, how are you going to be able to deal with those Blink Stalkers? It's not going to be too easy. You have to stim, catch them sometimes, force them back as fast as possible, and then go from there. But I really don't like Maru's build. Getting the +1 way, way, way beforehand, stopping the factory from going up really early, and now getting punished for this, really. Because especially against what Hero is doing here, the Colossus are out so early, because this Colossus count is going to be up really, really nicely. I mean, Colossus pushes are definitely very threatening, and a lot of times you need to double starport in this position directly afterwards. Like, you'll see me in a lot of my replays, I'll actually throw down a reactor immediately on this factory, go up to 4, stop my upgrades, so I'm not going to get my armory and engineering bay, and I actually throw on a second starport before I go up to 5 barracks. Look at this, 6 barracks. Very unordinary by Maru. Hard to really pay for that in the growing phases. I think, you know, if you don't have to worry about supply depots, it's absolutely fine. But as it stands right now, I think it's a really bad decision. Looks like 1-1 is being taken from our Protoss player over here. I like the positioning so far. Looks like Maru is finally pushing out. Okay, so you can see his first push out is 10 minutes and 40 seconds. The ordinary push out is 9:30. And Terrans at 9:30 have a really difficult job at being able to do damage. What makes you think, now that we're a minute later, yes, the army size is a little bit bigger with Marines and Marauders, but it's not that much bigger. What makes you think, now a minute later, or a Colossus later, that you're going to be able to put on damage with these Marines, Marauders, and medevacs? I really don't like the idea of that. You know, you want to be having multi-pronged attacks. So you want, you know, medevacs going in on the side and also up front. And I really do not think that's possible. I think this is a really bad position for Maru to be in, and he hasn't yet. Let's go ahead and check. Yeah, no second starport yet. This is a gigantic mistake. You cannot go six medevacs. You don't go 6 medevacs. You have to just stop at 4 and realize and respect the power of Colossus. Right now, if Hero chooses to ever do a Colossus push, I have no clue how Maru is going to stop that, especially when he doesn't go for the second starport. If you're like pressuring a lot and you really feel like, you know, you can squeeze out the 6 medevacs, that's okay, but you need to get your second starport. You can technically go to 6, but you need your second starport. There's no question in that. And by 11 minutes, if you don't have your second starport out after starting your starport so late, I mean, look at this, 3 Colossus. There could be this 3 Colossus 11-minute, 30-second push. How many Vikings are on the field? 0. How many Vikings are in production? 0. That's a huge problem. All Hero needs to do, and it looks like he might be pushing out here. He hasn't taken his 5th and 6th gases. That's a very big indicator. A lot of times I'll be scanning or putting pressure on this 3rd base to see if they're capable of all-ins. This is the greatest identifier to see if a Protoss is doing an all-in. Not looking at this, not looking at this, not looking at how many Colossus. Colossus tells you if they're capable. But once I scan here and see, wow, why isn't that 6th gas being taken? There are these huge sirens that are going off in my head that's saying, holy crap, I need to be careful. I need Vikings out. I need to prepare against this all-in. I also need to make sure that I can deal with some sort of mass charge lots directly after this. Because what are you going to remax in if you don't have your 5th and 6th gases? Probably going to be Zealot Stalker. Probably going to be Zealot Colossus, something like that. You can't go this delayedness, in my opinion. Let's see. Okay, you could also go Widow Mines. That's completely fine too. Looking at this, see, I think this is a big mistake, getting your upgrades way before second starport when your tech is so delayed. Love this by Hero, getting a Warp Prism out here, prepping all the Blink Stalkers as well. And you can see, I mean, I think Hero is imminent for doing a really big push. And Maru had the capabilities of seeing that. He had the capabilities of being able to put on pressure and see everything that's coming on. And just not respecting things. Really not respecting things. If I have to be critical on anything that Hero's done, you know, I think he's played a perfect game so far. If you're, I would say the slight adjustment to kind of confuse your opponent a little bit is to get your 5th and 6th gases, start mining from here, and take off workers from here. I think that's the way that you hide this this push a little bit better. It's only 150 minerals, and it's going to be, you know, pretty much the same potency. You're giving up, what, 1.5 zealots? That's fine to make your opponent not be tipped off that an all-in is coming, or potentially coming, really. I love this warp prism, wherever this warp prism is. I love this warp prism. It forces Vikings to be back, and Marines and Marauders apparently in this position. I would be keeping Vikings back here to be able to deal with it. I love that. Bunkers should have been thrown down here. We need like 3 or 4 or 5 bunkers to be able to deal with something like this. We need double star. Look at this. Second starport started at like 12 minutes and 30 seconds. This is egregious. Really egregious to me. You shouldn't be starting at this late when you're already so far behind in your medevac count, in your starport count, in your starport tech, how fast it can come out. And you know, Maru's just going to get paid for this. He's going to get punished for this. Excuse me. Hero's the one that's going to get paid. At least I think. We'll see how good the micro is for Maru, because that's what he's really known for, in my opinion. Maru's a great guy at being able to defend against this. But, you know, I'm writing off Maru pretty hard right now. I don't think he's going to be able to come back into this game. Even though I say come back into this game, but like nothing's been like really exchanged here, right? Units lost tab, nothing's really been exchanged, but it's the preparation. I think TvP, a lot of this game comes down to the preparation of things, and I feel like Maru hasn't been able or capable to get the right units out fast enough. Great time warps, obviously. Zealots should be the only units that are coming in here because Wing Stalkers can't tank that well. And it looks like Stalkers or Zealots are in here now. Yep, protect your Colossus at all time. And this could just be harass from here on out. He doesn't have to do a killing blow. What he can do is just make sure he's kiting back and forth and back and forth. And let his Colossus do all the work, really. That's all he has to do. And keep warping in Zealots, as we were talking about before. That's all, like, all he's really needs to do. Based on Maru, I mean, would I ever say that Maru, or excuse me, would I ever say Hero won the game or Maru lost the game? Every single time in this position, I'm saying Maru lost the game. This is a build order loss. That sounds crazy. Crazy. But Maru had all capabilities of seeing exactly what his opponent is doing, and he didn't respect anything that Hero was capable of. He didn't respect anything that Hero did in this game. And it shows you, like, even the pros are capable of making such egregious mistakes. And this is an egregious mistake. I think this is a very basic level mistake that Maru is making. And it's coming up in like a, oh man, what you're going to hear from the casters is like, man, Hero executed this so well. He did such a good job, blah, 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 blah. No, it's completely false. Completely false. This is a horrid build coming out of Maru. And I hate to be so critical like this, but you know, we expect more from Maru because he is such a talented player. Obviously, he's played on main stage a lot of things, but he is making some huge mistakes by not going the right units against these Colossus, and he's getting punished for this. Yeah, I'm so negative at this, but you know, I'm trying to get it home to you guys that how important it is to get your Viking count up, and normally your medevac count ceases for quite a long time. From the 10-minute mark to the 15-minute mark, you're not getting many Vikings, if any Vikings, and that's why maintaining your medevacs in the early game stage is probably one of the most important features that you can do as a Terran, to make sure you're keeping up with the Viking count. Because if you have to switch over and make medevacs out of these starports, that's a lot of gas, one, and it's also the same time opportunity cost. So you're losing, you know, however many medevacs you get, you're losing that many Vikings, which stops you from preparing against these Colossus. And ordinarily, I would want like 12 Vikings to deal with 3 Colossus, something like that. Were we anywhere near 12 Vikings? Let's go back and just check. Looks like, were we anywhere near that? I'm going to say no. Units tab. Oh, let's play it. I mean, 13 minutes in and we have no Vikings. Hello. What are we doing with our lives? 13 minutes in, and we have 2 Vikings. Okay, so if you look at the production slides, even if we have double medevac or double starport production here, that's still going to be 3 cycles of Vikings directly after that. That means he needs to wait 2 minutes! 2 minutes to be able to deal with this attack! By 2 minutes, you need a lot more than 12 or 14 Vikings. This is a really bad position for Maru. It's a build order loss, and it's well executed by Hero, but I wouldn't say Hero won this game by any means. It's more so Maru lost this game. I hope this helps, guys. We can see the end because it's probably just a formality from there. I highly, highly doubt that there's going to be any case. I wish I could give more tips for Protoss in this game, but I cannot. Protoss played just fine. Just fine. It's Terran that did not. It should just be Kite and GG. Oh. So you're saying there's no chance. There's no chance. Stop it, Andre. He does have upgrades, but upgrades are pretty negligible compared to army composition, let me tell you that. Yeah, this should be it. There you go. So guys, what are the lessons that you guys should learn from this? Make sure you know exactly where your starport tech is relative to your opponents. If they're getting a very early robo, realize they can do 12, 13, 14-minute pushes on you that are really freaking powerful against a Terran if you don't have Vikings up. Adjust accordingly if your starport is late, which if you're getting a very fast +1 and you're not doing with anything, I'm going to ask, why are you getting the fast +1? Get this count out faster. It's 25 seconds faster if you don't get the +1 and instead get the factory. So know where your starport tech is, know the relative timings to your opponent, see if they're going something like Fast Colossus, realize that there can be some sort of attack if they're going like a 6-minute robo. Prep for that, scan, do whatever you can to see if they are capable of an attack like that, and realize you might have to throw down a second starport a lot earlier. This is Great Torp, guys. As always, do what you love what you do, and I'll catch you guys next time.